Welcome to another episode of the Woman Up podcast, a place where we entertain, educate, and elevate women on this journey we call life. And on this week, I have the amazing Josi Dumont with me. Hi.
Hi. Oh gosh, I feel so honored to be here. It's so special.
Oh, thank you. I did your podcast with you.
Mm-hmm.
Was it last week?
Yeah, it was literally last week.
Yeah, well, we recorded last week, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's been really cool to like collab on a few things and like get creative with it. So yeah, thank you for being here.
Of course. No, thank you so much for having me and for the invitation.
So I'm gonna get straight in, but
Yes.
before we do an intro into who you are, I want to play my game, which is called 333.
Hit me.
So it's 3 sets of 3 questions. The first is, would you rather? So would you rather the ability to speak to animals or speak every language in the world?
Ooh. Okay, because I am such a huge animal lover, I have to say, speak to animals. I would love to know what my cats think every single day when I'm just like, Mitchy, 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 Chloe, Chloe, Chloe. They must be like, human, you're stupid.
Yeah.
So
I always
definitely
think
that.
as well. I also think, I think it would be really cool to like learn every single language because there's
Yeah.
thousands, but I don't know, like there's something about animals that you'd be the only person.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind
So-
of like Dr. Dolittle, right?
Yeah,
That's his
yeah,
name. It would be so fun just to listen to them and be like, okay, what is actually going on inside your mind?
yeah. I agree. I would definitely pick that as well. Okay, would you rather have a pause or a rewind button on life?
Ooh. Ooh. I think pause, because that way I could enjoy the present moment a little bit longer. I wouldn't want to rewind because I want to live my life so intentionally that I would never regret anything. So I would do pause so I can enjoy more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing I worry about if I pause is that if I pause too many times, then I'll end up like looking much older than I am.
Oh, I didn't think about it that way.
Unless maybe like everything pauses. If you like, you pause
That's what I
time,
would
the
hope.
aging
Yeah.
process, like everything. Okay. I need
It
to
should
think
pause
about
like literally time
I
in
need to
that
read
moment.
the-
So yeah,
Yeah, you need to read the terms and conditions of pausing.
the small print be
Yeah.
like, okay, what does it actually mean? And when you rewind, like, do you turn like younger as well? That would be scary too, right? It's not just you in the present form, but if you turn younger to like kind of like a Benjamin Button kind of thing, then you'd be like, do I actually want that?
Yeah, because I would hate to go back to being like a teenager.
I don't want that.
No, me neither.
No, thank you.
Okay, would you rather have a robot as your personal chef or your personal maid?
Oh. Personal maid. Yeah, because I like cooking and baking, so I would want to do that myself. Cleaning, not so much.
Yeah.
So maid would be great.
Cleaning and chores, I think, are just like,
That would be so helpful.
yeah.
I mean, I would even like just the robot that's like on the floor, like just vacuum
The little
cleaning.
Hoover one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I like
That would be
them. They're
really
really
amazing.
cute. Yeah.
I need to get one.
Okay. So, finish the sentence is the next one. If you could instantly learn... Oh, sorry, I'm going to change it because it's you have to finish the sentence. If I could instantly learn any skill, it would be...
Ooh, if I could learn instantly any skill, it would be... Ooh, that's a tough one. It would be to... Fly comes up for some reason. I mean, if I could, I would fly.
You just like... Not like...
I go like
a real
supernatural.
skill, but like a supernatural
Yes.
skill.
Because the first thing that came up, you know, when you like dream and you have a dream of flying,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, same.
So I was like, yeah, flying would be great.
Yeah, okay. Let's go with it.
Yeah.
Okay, the most important quality in a best friend is...
Trust. Trust that you stay friends even if I don't reply for months. Because I'm a very bad replier to messages.
Same.
But I love when your friends just know, like, no, this relationship just stays. Like, we're in each other's lives anyway. And I feel like that's built on trust.
Yeah, I agree. I do have a few friends, very small amount of friends, that are just like it doesn't matter how much time goes past. Yeah, I like that too.
Those are the special ones.
Yeah. Okay, my guilty pleasure TV show is...
At the moment, it's Perfect Match.
What is that?
It's so bad.
Is it a dating program?
Yeah, it's like Love is Blind or like The Ultimatum.
Okay.
And it's Perfect Match, and it's so bad. And because obviously, like with my coach training and stuff, I'm always like, oh, he's got that saboteur, or she's self-sabotaging here. They are doing that. So, but at the same time, it's like really like mindless TV, which I really enjoy every now and then, just to be like, okay, I don't need to think about anything, and I can just shut down and be like, okay. So yeah, that's kind of like guilty pleasure kind of like one. But I also love anime, so
Oh, do you?
yeah, right now we're trying to catch up on Fairy Tail, which is one of it's actually a really good anime. I love it.
Oh, cool. I don't know anything about anime, but obviously I know it's super popular, but I've never really delved into it, so
I can only recommend. Like the morals they teach actually in anime are incredible, especially like with Fairy Tail. They are very good at showcasing how important it is to forgive, even if you made like huge mistakes. But they show like no camaraderie and connection to others, and loving and supporting another is so much more important. And no matter what mistake you made, you're still a worthy being. And I'm just like, that's so much.
oh, that's cool. I like that. It's got a little moral to the story.
Mm.
Where was I? Oh, that was it for the finish the sentence.
Okay.
And then the next three are random questions. So one is, what is the most ridiculous thing you believed as a child?
Oh, that is a good one. Okay, the most ridiculous thing definitely is for a long time, I think until I was like 10, 11, so kind of like old age as a kid, I did believe into not the Santa Claus, but like the other version that we have in Germany, which is like a holy child. I don't know how to describe it, but I did believe in that because my mum, I think it was her, she kind of like pulled a pretty good prank-ish when I was younger. And because I was like writing a letter to that Christmas kind of like figure, I was like, I want to have a picture of you. And she then kind of like found like a picture of just like an angel kind of thing and like very like orange yellow colors, and then she put like a fake piece of hair like a lock of hair on with that as well, and then she wrote like a little message on the back, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's real. It really exists. Now obviously I'm like, thanks mom.
That's like commitment to you believing in that.
Yeah.
Is it just the same as Father Christmas, or is it just...
It's basically the same, but it's just like a different figure because it's more like a child, like a female kind of like young child that's like giving you the presents.
Oh, that's cute. I like it.
It's quite cute, but I believe like it was real.
I love it. What is the weirdest food that you've ever eaten, and would you eat it again?
Ooh. Weird food. I'm not much of a weird food eater. Maybe food combo.
Okay, yeah.
The weirdest one, I've been told at least, was bread with butter, cheese, mayonnaise, and curry powder.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever mixed curry powder with mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's very
and
interesting.
Cheese,
yeah. I mean, now obviously like I'm vegan, so I wouldn't eat it anymore.
Oh, okay.
But there was a weird food combo I was very much into when I was still a cheese lover.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm tempted to try that one, but...
I mean, if you eat cheese, I would recommend.
I actually love cheese.
Okay, yeah.
I have a weird combo as well.
Yeah.
But I recently actually discovered that it's from my mum's side of the family, which in Colombia they do it a lot. So we mix cheese with hot chocolate. So what I used to do is, you know how in the UK, like you dip your biscuit into tea?
Yeah.
I would dip like a little slice of cheese into my hot chocolate and then eat it.
Interesting.
It's so good. But also you can like just cut it up into little cubes and just put it in the chocolate and like
melt it,
like with a spoon, obviously eat it out.
Oh wow.
And it's like half melted, half not melted, and like this weird, like, sweet and savory combo happening.
That does sound very weird, yeah. But it also reminds me of like coffees in Vietnam because they have like egg coffee and I think they also have like cheese coffee and stuff.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
Coffee.
egg coffee, yeah. So they basically have a very, very strong coffee and then they mix egg with it and it's like super creamy. I never tried it, but my boyfriend loves it.
Interesting. Okay, I need to add these to my list.
Mm.
Okay, the last one is Woman Up specific, which is what 3 things do you love about yourself?
I love that I am a multi-passionista. I'm like super quirky, but I can also be very serious. I love how I can be badass in the gym and be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm so strong. But then I can also be very cutesy.
Okay. So you're like a chameleon.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a comedian. I'm kind of like a little bit of everything, and I love that about me. And for a long time, I actually didn't, and I was like, oh, I need to be one certain way.
Yeah.
I need to be just this, or I can only show this version of me. Like everything needs to be perfect and elegant and whatever. Now I'm like, actually, no, I really like that I'm so many different things. I'm not just one thing.
Yeah.
So that's one thing,
Okay.
which is multiple things.
Yeah.
The other one is... that when I want to do something, I will make it happen. Like I'm very determined. My mum always would say I'm a dickhead.
Wow.
Because I'm so determined.
Yeah.
I would just make it happen no matter what. So yeah, sometimes it's an advantage. Sometimes it can also drive me maybe like too hard into one direction and I might miss different perspectives. But I quite like that I'm really determined because I know if I have that feeling, like that intuitive kind of like calling to do something, I will get there.
Yeah.
Like definitely. It's like a given almost.
Yeah.
And I love that certainty. And the third one, that I'm an animal lover. I love that about me.
Yeah.
Yes.
All animals or just specific?
Except spiders.
I feel sorry for spiders sometimes.
I do too. And I try to save them when I can, but when they're too big, I'm just like, nope.
Yeah.
No, thank you. I leave.
Yeah.
I'm out.
Same.
But I am a big animal lover.
Oh, that's good. I like that. I'm like that too. I love animals. And the fluffier, the better.
Oh, gosh, yes. Like when you go on vacation with me, I will be the one who pets all the cats.
Yeah, same.
It's good.
Although I get sad in like countries where there's a lot of stray animals and like, you know, it's not advised to like touch them and stuff. But then it's like, oh, but I just want to love them.
Yeah. If I could, I would pack them all in my suitcase and be like, let's go.
Yeah.
I save you.
Okay, thank you for playing my 333 game.
I love that.
So to start off with, let's just do an intro. So tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Yes. So I am Josi. Obviously, I'm a leadership and mindset coach. Previously, I was a senior finance professional working in a Fortune 500 company and had quite a steep career, I have to say. I moved to different countries. Everything was fine until I burnt out after leading a huge project. That was like an international project and team as well. It was a massive opportunity and I'm very grateful for it, but at the same time, it was a bit too big. But that really, like that moment made me question everything and like reevaluate my whole life. And I was like, no, I need to live a life more according to my values, which is impact, freedom, and authenticity. And my career in finance did not tick those boxes. So I had to make the decision, okay, what do you want to do? And I got into touch with coaching first by being coached myself. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, this is life-changing. So I was like, I want to do that and start my coach training. And since, basically officially January 2022, I have been like coaching ever since, worked with women worldwide, especially on overcoming self-doubt, turning it into self-trust, imposter syndrome, also really tapping into their own authentic leadership style, because that's something I'm obviously very passionate about, to just really be me and to use that as my strength rather than seeing it as a weakness and not trying to force myself like into a box. So yeah, that's basically what I do now. I also have my own podcast, which obviously you were a guest on. And I've written a book. I'm a recently published author as well, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah, I love that. I was looking at your Instagram earlier and I was just admiring like your book content.
Thank you.
But yeah, we'll talk about your book because I want to know more about it. But I kind of want to just go back and like ask you, what was your life like before this and when you were working in finance, and like what made you transition? Like what was the reason for that transition?
Yeah, so when I was working in finance, I have to say for a long time, working in finance was my dream.
Oh, wow, okay.
It was my big goal. And I actually do believe like I manifested working in the company I worked for, because I still remember before I ever like set a foot into the company, we would drive, for example, like on the street where the big buildings were, and was like huge office buildings. And I was always like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. I want to be part of that one day. And then I got into the apprenticeship and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is a dream come true. And soon I kind of like really developed a passion for finance. And I was like, this is the space where I want to be, because I feel like I could have an impact. I could maybe shape it up. I was soon disappointed as well, unfortunately. But it was a big dream of mine. I was like, I'm going to be the next CFO. I had big, big dreams, which is also why I really put like a lot of work into it. And I was working full time and studying next to it as well. So I did like an international kind of like program because I wanted to have my bachelor's. So there was a lot on my plate already. And then like short before I made the transition, I worked like in my department, and we had like another restructuring going on. And then they were like, Josie, you need to take over this project. And at first they sold it to me as like, yes, maybe only like it would take like 3 more months, but then it should be wrapped up and stuff. But then it turned out to be way more like complex and bigger than we thought it would be. And it turned out to be like at least a 1-year commitment. Oh, wow. And it was so much work. And that literally just pushed me down to overworking like crazy, because I wanted to prove myself. I was like, oh my gosh, this is the opportunity for me to like rise up like even higher, like climb up the career ladder even higher. And there were like great opportunities that came from that. So I got accepted to like a finance accelerator kind of like program that was for like the high achievers in finance at that time, who were the only ones who got accepted into that program. And they were like asked different questions. Okay, how would you reshape finance at this company and stuff? So I felt like, oh my gosh, this is really good. But at the same time, I was working so hard. I was literally grinding on bare bones. And there was like a point where I was waking up, had my breakfast at my desk. I would have lunch at my desk. Yeah. I would work into dinner time. I would work afterwards. Then to it came like next to the exhaustion, it was also like the emotional kind of like burden that came with it. So I would be crying before work. I would be crying during work, and I couldn't handle many things. And even though I asked for help, not often help came. So I was like, okay, if I don't get help from external, even though me raising my voice and speaking up for it, I need to change something myself. And I do believe burnout is like a mix. So it's 50% the workload. That's a responsibility, I believe, from the corporate space, from your employer, but also 50% it's on you. It's how you think about yourself, how you deal with that situation. It's like if you keep on thinking, oh, this is too hard, it's too much, I can't do this, well, then obviously it will be harder and it will be more difficult to actually deal with the situation. Yeah. So I realized that because I had like a huge passion for mindset work and personal growth anyway. And I started to use the tools I learned myself. And I realized, okay, I need to shift things up. I need to release those limiting beliefs and clear up some thought patterns that were stuck. And then I was like really persistent on getting help. And I was like, okay, I want coaching. I want something. And luckily through the company, and I'm really, really grateful for that actually, they did provide me with like a course where I had like some first touch points with coaching. So I got coached. And she literally just told me to do like a pro-contra list and was like, what is good? What is shit? Now I was like, well, shit is quite a lot. It wasn't just a burnout and a workload. It was also my relationship turned out to be very, very toxic. I was ignoring loads of red flags at the same time as well. So that was a big burden. Then obviously studying and working full time was huge. And I was really, really, really depressed. I was literally rock bottom. And then we had another restructuring going on as well. So I was facing redundancy. They did give me the opportunity to stay, but I was like, do I actually want to stay? And with this pro-contra list, I was like, the pros are not big enough. Like, they're not worth it for me to stay. So I was like, yeah, no, something needs to change. And I was looking at the two big pillars, career, relationship, but also my general happiness. And I was like, all of these need to change. First one was career, and I was like, cool, I'm gonna choose redundancy. And I chose my package and obviously dived into coaching. Also relationship, even though we did get married, on the wedding day I actually realized, oh, hang on, this is not the guy I want to be with. Like, in my head, I was telling myself, like, why is no one saying no? Why is no one saying no? But then I realized, okay, it needs to be me who says no. But I couldn't, because there was like, I felt so much external pressure, and because obviously people were around me, and I was like, I can't say no right now, right? But what do I do? So I said yes, and then afterwards I was even more depressed. And my ex-husband now was like, Josie, what's going on? Like, I think like 2-3 weeks after. I was like, yeah, I don't think we should be married.
Wow.
And yeah, that was then the moment when we basically split up. And then afterwards we got everything into the works to annul, actually, the wedding. So basically it never happened. So it got erased from the history, kind of, which I was very grateful for. And then also, so I made that decision. And then also, just in general, I was like, okay, I need to really put myself first, because I was still recovering from burnout as well. So I had to really make conscious decisions to just be like, it's Josie first, no one else, nothing else, no job, no person, no nothing. It's just me first, and I will only do what makes me happy and what is aligned with my values and what I truly want to get out of life. And that's then basically, all of that together is kind of like the moment, the period back in like 2021 when everything shifted. And then I turned towards like coaching. And I was like, I found my passion. I found what I want to do. And then shortly after, I also found the love of my life on Tinder. Who would have thought? So, yeah, like deciding for myself to be happy, like that I deserve happiness, was the best decision ever, even though I had to take the most scariest decisions ever at the same time.
Hey ladies, thanks for joining us here on another episode of the Woman Up podcast. We absolutely love your support, and I just want to take a moment to say, please subscribe wherever it is that you're watching from, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, it really doesn't matter where. It just really helps us grow and keeps the podcast going. If you're feeling especially inspired, please leave us a comment with feedback or even topic suggestions. It really means the world to us, and I personally read everything, so thanks in advance. We appreciate you, and let's get back to the episode. What does your mind go through, like, in that moment when you're at the altar, I guess, and you really want to say no and end up saying yes? Like, I can't even imagine what that feels like.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Like, I was nervous for the wrong reasons. It was, so my heart rate went up because I was like, I had a panic attack basically in that moment. My hands were sweating because I had a panic attack of, I'm making the worst decision in my life right now, but I can't say no. So there was also like a mix of shame and guilt towards myself. And at the same time, I was like, okay, do I need to stick with this now? What is happening now? Can I actually get out of this? And that's why I was like really, really depressed afterwards. And I was literally like, how do you say? Distancing myself from everyone and everything, especially obviously my ex-husband. I was just like, I don't want anything to do with this guy. I don't want to talk to him. So in that moment, it was just like everything crushing down on me, and it felt shit, like really, really shit and scary. But at the same time, I do think it was needed for me to have that moment of like, fuck, my life is crumbling right now, to realize something needs to change. And I'm the only one who can actually save me. Because even though I had that thought of like, why is no one else saying no? I realized it had to be me who says no. It had to be me who stands up for herself. So it was very scary, but then also it was very needed to have that kind of like realization moment.
Yeah. I mean, amazing for you that you did that. Like, as someone who has been in relationships before way past the expiry date, I really struggle with that. Like, I have such a issue with like breaking up with people, because I feel like, you know, oh, but if you stick it out and maybe this will change, maybe that will change, we can work on it, and like just, you know, it will get better. And I like totally get that feeling, but when it's to the point of that I do moment, God, I can't imagine. Like, yeah, so I think it's really brave. Even just like sharing it is amazing.
Yeah, but I do think it's actually needed, because even though you maybe said yes to the person, but if you know it's not the right person, you have all the rights to break up with that person, because you deserve to be happy.
Yeah, of course.
And you don't deserve to be stuck in something for the rest of your life that you're unhappy in. So to really get clear on that is so, so powerful.
Yeah.
And I know it's hard. And of course, like, you will experience feelings of grief and loss as well, because you're like, this was my life for 12 years. Like in my situation, we've been together for 12 years.
Wow.
Literally kind of like teenage love, right? So I was sad that like that part of me was like dying, but at the same time I was also like, oh God, it's so needed.
Yeah.
It was like a phoenix almost moment, you know, rising from the ashes. But it's totally normal that it hurts when it is burning, because it's burning.
Yeah. Do you think he was unhappy with that decision, or he was also in like a similar unsure situation?
Parts of me do think he was kind of like in an unsure kind of situation, because initially we broke up a year before. But then we tried to rekindle it, and I was like, oh, I need to be loyal and we need to try to fix it, but it just didn't work. So I do think he kind of knew, but at the same time I also do think he was maybe clinging on to that idea of, no, we stay together.
Yeah.
He did say like, oh, I just married my best friend, but then at the same time, like, we haven't really spoken since. Like literally when the annulment was over, it was just like deleted. But that's how I kind of like deal with those situations anyway.
Yeah.
But I do think, I do want to believe, let's say it that way, that he, to some degree, knew this wouldn't be forever.
Yeah.
It would only be for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, maybe he didn't think a couple of weeks. Like maybe.
Yeah, maybe not a couple of weeks.
A few years.
Maybe
at
he
least.
thought a few years. But yeah, better sooner than later.
Yeah. I
Rip
agree.
the plaster off.
Okay, so let me check my questions, because your story is like so much that I'm completely lost my train of thought.
That's totally fine.
Okay, so let's talk about your book, because you mentioned it earlier. It's called "And There She Goes Her Way," right?
Yes.
And I read on your LinkedIn, it aims to bridge the gap between one's current and best self. So I guess we've learned a little bit about you, but my question is, what was the motivation behind writing this book?
So the big motivation, I mean, if you're happy to, I can show it. That is the book.
Yeah.
This copy is for you, by the way.
Oh, thank
so
you.
you can have it.
Have a look?
Yeah. The idea behind that book was I wanted to write the book that kind of like I needed to change my life. So this book literally includes everything I know and learned in over a decade, like literally 12, 13 years of studying mindset, personal growth, everything, and things that I apply to my own life. So it's literally taking you from where you are right now to who you truly are. I don't think there's actually a gap between you and your best self.
Yeah.
The gap is perceived. It's, you already are your best self. It's just all of those layers that we have around it, with limiting beliefs or like social to like norms and expectations that we put on that are hiding our best selves. So by shedding these layers of the onion, we come back home to ourselves. And that's something I've done, like obviously countless of times. So I wanted to write a book that can help others to do the same, but in a much faster and also easier way, because it will really take you from where you are now and also get you to like dreaming again to who you truly are, what you really want. How does your life look like when you live according to your values, and get you back to that stage.
What kind of passions do you have like outside of the coaching that has influenced your coaching method or like your book as well?
Oh, that's a very good question. Passions outside of coaching. I do feel like maybe that sounds silly, but like going to the gym, training, because for me it's very metaphorical.
Okay.
Because you constantly push your boundaries, you constantly do something that you thought you couldn't do before, and you grow stronger as you venture outside your comfort zone. And literally just that kind of mindset is, for me, coaching.
Okay.
So even though I don't talk too much about exercise in the book, it was actually something, I had loads of exercise examples at first in my book, and then my editor was like, you need to change that. You need to take some out. And I was like, really? But basically the thinking behind it is the same. So exercising is a big thing that you don't just do physically, but you also do it mentally. So that's definitely a passion that is influencing the book a little bit.
Okay.
More in the way of thinking about it.
Yeah. So you've got the book is split into sections, just for anyone watching. So section 1 is the wake up call, section 2 the release, section 3 is the breakthrough, and section 4 is the journey. So is this like the stages that people go through?
Yes.
And then you just like break them down and have like actionable steps, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. I'm like excited to read this now.
I'm excited for you to read it because it really. So I wanted the book to be something that you work with and something that takes you on a journey.
Yeah.
Something that empowers you. So it's not necessarily me telling you precisely what to do, but to give you the tools to find your way of doing it and then living your best life and obviously going your way. That's kind of like what inspired also the title.
Yeah, I love it. I love the title as well. There she goes her way. Okay, I'm excited.
Oh.
In terms of like your coaching as well, is it something that carries on after they read the book, or is the book like separate from the coaching?
It definitely continues. I mean, there are some extra exercises actually that you can find on a website. So it does take you a little bit further. But also, I'm soon launching a membership that is kind of like built onto the principles that are also inside the book. So the book is like a great entry point for you to just try it out yourself.
Yeah.
Like see for yourself how far you get, because you absolutely are capable of doing it.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily need someone, so maybe the book is even enough. Awesome, just go with the book. But if you do want like extra support, that's then when you can work with a coach. And it's something that I'm really passionate about around me when I'm working with a client. Again, like I'm not telling them what to do. I trust they know all of the answers. Even if they say I don't know, I promise you we will find your way and we will find your solution.
Yeah.
Because we are working together. So it's for me really important to help the clients to build that self-trust. And what is beautiful about working with a coach is that you have that accountability buddy. You have like a sounding board. You have someone that doesn't judge you like at all. You can just be for like an hour who you truly are and experience that and like tap into learning by doing. And I feel like that's one of the most impactful and potent ways to actually experience how life could be. And I have like a really, really beautiful example of one client who came to a session and she was so bogged down. She was really like slouching and she was just like, oh, everything is like shit. So she was really ridden by her saboteurs and she was just like thinking, oh, I don't know if I have what it takes to be a leader. I don't know how to lead. I don't know how I should show up. I don't know how to be authentic. Like, how do I do all of these things? So we kind of like dived into, okay, what is actually holding you back? Like, what are these limiting beliefs that you believe or that you think that right now who you truly are is not good enough? And once we did that, she was like, actually, all of these thoughts are not true. I just make them true. I just make them mean something about me. So then we were like, okay, for a moment, just for a moment, try it. send those self-sabotaging thoughts outside the door and just imagine you are leading as who you truly are. And we did like a visualization exercise, and she then like stood up and she was like dancing a little bit and just like moving, and she almost, I think she started crying already then, and she was just like, oh, I think I found it. Like I just literally had my first taste of leading as my authentic self. I felt like I tapped into my feminine inner wisdom. And she suddenly was like upright, and she was like really proud, and she looked like such a strong woman. I had to cry as well, because I was just like, this is beautiful to just see this transformation. And she then anchored this whole experience into like a little orange flower that she still has like as a little reminder of that, of who she really is at her best. So yeah, that's what's possible, that you get like this kind of space to be yourself and to then take that out into the world. Obviously, like it's just that one session, but the true magic happens afterwards.
Yeah.
The true magic happens when you continue taking what you learned or experienced to try it out again and again and again, to venture out yourself and build that self-trust and create some like consistency in how you show up. It is a habit, after all, that you're building new, because you haven't done it before. So now you need to put in the practice and consistency to really nail it. So your brain is like, okay, cool, we are doing it this way now.
Yeah. What in terms of habits as well, because you mentioned habits, what are like your daily or weekly habits that you think help you with like shaping living on this like best version of yourself?
So in terms of habits, one go-to habit, as I already mentioned, is exercise.
Yeah.
So I have to say that one, because it just makes me feel better. It takes care of, for me, there are 4 pillars of well-being, which is the physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental. And for me, exercise hits all 4.
Yeah.
So that's like a key habit to definitely have. Any form of movement, whatever is like fun to you, do that. It doesn't need to be weightlifting like I do. If it's a walk in the park, then it's a walk in the park. If it's climbing, if it's cycling, doesn't matter. It's a keystone habit that really can influence all other areas of your life, because it gives you more energy. If it's fun to you, then obviously you have a joyful moment as well. I always train with my boyfriend, so it's also a very emotional, connecting kind of like moment. And I'm super passionate about it, so my soul is happy. And it's also a very mindful moment for me, because I get to know my body and I get to love my body a little bit more as well. So exercise is a habit that I do almost daily. At the other side, other habits I have are in general around mindset work. So I always try to observe my thoughts in any moment. If I have maybe like a strong reaction to something, I would reflect for a second and just go like, did I like how I was in that moment? Or like, what did it actually mean that I thought about it this way? So I question sometimes my thoughts. Or if I catch myself maybe looking in the mirror, and maybe I'm like on, like you post in the stories, right? Like period day 1 or day 2, and the blemishes are blemishing. I love that. But because I had like really strong hormonal acne, so sometimes I would look in the mirror and be like, oh gosh, my face flared up again. Like, oh, I hate it. And I'm like, oh, wait, I don't want to talk to me like that. So it's like just being mindful of my own thoughts. That's what I consider like mindset work. Obviously journaling, meditating, those kind of things as well. But just being very observant of your thoughts, very self-aware. That's something I try to do daily. But then also leadership is another kind of like core pillar for me. So to have a vision, to always work towards that vision, to really be aligned with my values, and to always reflect and take a moment. So I like to do like mindset days, mindset reset days, basically. I call them like that, but they're kind of more like self-reflection days every month, where I look into, okay, what has been working well, what hasn't been working that well, what would I change, what can I do better, what can I do more of, and to then really realign again my life towards, this is my goal, this is where I want to go, so this is what I got to do now. So that's kind of like leadership. And then obviously the last one is action taking. I am a strong believer in taking action. Like there's only so much inner work that you can do. If you don't put the external action in, you will not get anywhere. You will not see any results. You have to go out there, be on a podcast, pitch yourself, write, I don't know, go live, whatever it is that you need to do to reach your goal. You got to take the action. So those are like the 4 cornerstones of where I try to always have those kind of like habits implemented. So that's action taking, mindset work, well-being, and leadership.
Yeah. I think I totally get the inner work thing, because I think for so long I was really obsessed with like personal development and reading personal development books and going to webinars and just like learning. But then I wasn't like actioning a lot of the goals or the dreams that I had. And it was like, no, I just need to learn this one thing. Oh, wait, I need to learn this. Yeah. But then you're never really ready. Like the inner work never stops. But at some point you have to say, is it time to take action? Yes. Okay, let me just take one step forward, and then we'll learn and take steps as we go, like not one or just the other, both simultaneously.
Yes,
so I think
absolutely.
that one's like really important.
It is.
Looking back at like your career, but also your personal life, what advice would you give to your younger self?
Keep on trusting yourself. Always. Go your way. Do your thing. Like whatever you want to do, it's the right way. Even if you might make a mistake, even if something doesn't work out as it should or as you hoped it would, it's totally fine, because you will learn from that failure. And it's nothing really ever is a failure. I feel like only if you don't try, then it might be a failure. Because then what I believe is when you might regret something if you don't even try. So just trust yourself. And one saying that I have like at the back of my wall when you're on like a Zoom call with me is, I am, I can, I will. Because I am here right now.
Yeah.
So I can. So I will make it happen.
Yeah. What would you say have been your biggest life lessons?
Oh, there's so many. The biggest life lessons. I do think to not rely too much on external support, or to also not give away your ownership of your own results to others. And what I mean by that is you in the end take your decisions, you in the end take the action or inaction that will lead to your results or non-existing results. And it's so important to take that accountability and ownership of what you achieve and what you don't achieve. It's so easy to say, oh, it's just because I met this person that I got this job. Or it's so easy to say, only because I was on this podcast, maybe that's why maybe a client signed up, for example. But in the end, it was my decision to show up.
Yeah.
So it's really important to give yourself the credit and to own it, because also that's how you build more self-trust, and that's also how you overcome imposter syndrome, for example. If you really own your success, but also take accountability for the things that don't happen.
Yeah. Interesting one as well. That's deep.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay, so how can people work with you? Like, how does your coaching work?
So at the moment, I basically offer mainly one-on-one coaching. You can either start with just 1 month, that's the coaching booster. So you just dip your toes into the water and see, okay, do we vibe? Like, does it work out? Because I do strongly believe in checking out several coaches so you really find your perfect match.
Yeah.
Like the series. Just that is not speed dating and we're not in a house in a bikini. But it's a great way to just test it out, because you basically get like a session with me, and then you also have like an action plan. So we really work on something specific that triggers you maybe right now. And then you see immediate action. And then if you want, you can then say, okay, Josie, I want to work with you longer. And you can decide either between like 3, 6 or 12 months, or we do a completely personalized package as well. Because I do know some clients, they just want coaching. They don't want any access to any courses or anything else. So then they just get a bespoke package, or they want different lengths or different durations of like sessions and like months and stuff. So I do personalized things as well. And obviously, as I mentioned before, I have a membership coming up, which will be more like an intimate group kind of thing. And I want to have it really intimate. So it's not like a membership where you have like 100 other people. I want to keep a cohort to like maximum 5-6 people, because I want to have a really safe space where people feel like they're being seen, they're being heard. And also I want to give as much as I can to each and every one of them. So if we have a call, I want to be with them. I don't want to be diluted by 100 people. I wouldn't even know how to serve 100 people at the same time if it's not like a course or a webinar. So yeah, that's something upcoming that I'm really, really excited about.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your big vision then for the next few years?
Oh, there's so many things. So I want to write more books. But I recently decided I need to translate this one first into German.
Oh, okay.
And need to do the audio version as well, because people have been requesting that already. So I heard you. I will do that. So that's one thing. But I also want to write at least 2 more books. But obviously I don't want to cut off. Like if I want to write more books than that, I won't. I will write more books than that. At some point I do want to win like an award or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on my vision board, to be an award-winning author in whatever
that.
shape or form that might happen. I don't care. It doesn't need to be a New York Times bestseller, but something.
Yeah.
And obviously I also want to be a mum at some point. That's actually something very new for me. With my ex, I never wanted children. With my boyfriend now, I'm like, my ovaries are singing. Yes, please, come at me. So yeah, that's one big goal. But also to really keep on living a life of freedom, authenticity, and impact. So impact is, in terms of my coaching business, the one thing I want to have. I want to help as many women as possible to live the best life possible, to really live it their own way, to trust themselves, to be empowered that they can do it, to stop doubting themselves, second guessing whatever it is that holds them back. Like, it pains me hearing women talk about their dreams and then to kill them immediately because they feel like they can't do it. Like, oh, it's literally like a stab in my heart. So I'm just like, I need to help as many women as possible in any shape or form. I don't have a number, but I'm just like, the more lives I can impact, the better. And every time I hear of someone reading the book or liking an episode from the podcast, I'm like, that's another life impacted. And that's kind of like my big vision. It's like continuous, basically.
Yeah, I love that, because obviously we're kind of like on similar journeys in that we want to impact women and we want to help women as much as we can. And half the time I feel like I'm not worthy of that. But whenever I get a message from someone being like, I loved your story, or I resonate with this, or, you know, I love what you do, it's just like, yay.
You did it.
That gives me like the little oomph to like keep going and like keep posting and keep doing stuff. So yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's the thing. It's amazing. Like, you might every single day change someone else's life by 1%. Do you know that like metaphor of if you have an airplane and you change the course by like 1 degree, you will end up in a completely different direction. So imagine your story maybe was that 1 degree change to just make them realize something. You changed their life.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that perspective as well. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
So yeah, the book I will link in the description. Along with all your handles and everything. So guys, thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like, share, comment, do all the things. We love it and we really need the support for the podcast, and we will see you next week. Bye.